Да? Добрый вечер, уважаемые коллеги. Рада всех приветствовать на нашем.
Good evening, dear colleagues. I'm happy to see you all
Почему
at our roundtable, unique roundtable, because the topic is very relevant,
невозможно
that it is impossible
такое
not to
интересного развития для компании, как
pay attention to this very interesting topic as export issues. And we gathered here today very unique specialists, unique speakers who are representative of state support that will share with us all the latest trends, and also the specialists who are successful in their activity, representatives of companies. So, the first speaker I would like to invite today is Vice President of Russian Expert Center, Mikhail Alexei. Please take the floor. Colleagues, good morning. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Yes, of course. Can you open my presentation, please? Next slide, please. The 26th of November, we gave public access to exporters and for all legal entities to the platform called One Window, Одно окно, and the presentation will be devoted to key aspects of its function. How do we see it? How do we plan it? How do we work with exporters, with state bodies, and with potential participants and current participants of foreign economic activity? Our task was set the following way. Today, exporter needs to interact with each body separately. Unfortunately, there is technical problem with the sound. I cannot hear. Sorry, we have some connection problems. The last phrase we couldn't hear. Okay, let me repeat. Is it better like this? Yes. Okay, okay. I will repeat. So the task that we set as Russian Export Center is to overcome barriers exporters face when they start or continue their export activity. Right now they need to address to each institution separately. It takes a lot of time, of course, and a lot of paperwork. It all leads to the fact that export is developing in low pace, and the government wants it faster. The task was to build a system that would allow to get access to all the services from one point, to all the services that the exporter needs during the whole period of his lifetime as a company. This leads to synergy as collecting all the necessary papers. Colleagues, do we have problems? No, we are all attentively listening to you. It's all okay? This leads, let me put it this way, all the data received, papers, documents during this process, they're accumulated by the exporter and allowed to minimize the number of these papers because they will be used and reused. Next slide, please. We can see that we have three target audience. It's exporters, so people who are involved in exporters, starting exporters, so the company Export and export activity is not the biggest share in their business. And potential exporters, so the company that are planning and thinking of starting exporting activity. So our task is to present to each category the services that will be demanded for them. So our task is to create an instrument that would be available 24/7, that would correspond and meet all the requirements of the UN, for example. There we have a whole committee there that builds methodological work, creates recommendations on how to build similar systems. So one of them about getting information and reusing it in e-format, we set as a most important factors in projecting the system, in developing the system. We needed to organize all the throughout processes between the participants, and it all should lead to reduce the costs. I mean, all kind of costs, financial and time-consuming costs. We have another slide. Previously, before, our task was to create services for the whole life cycle of the company. Since the moment we find the potential exporter, we start helping him analytically and consultations. We give consultations, so he would define the country of export, requirements for the goods, would learn something about the obstacles and barriers in these countries. Then we have educational services, and the moment the exporter is ready for custom clearance, we give him access to state services, to FTS to be exact. It's important to understand that exporters will be SME or companies that have different character of exporting activity. So it means that probably they don't have qualified personnel that could do this work, this complicated work on the regular basis. So one of the requirements was to provide simple means of utilization, some hints, exchange with other, electronic exchange with other institutions that would allow to fill in the application and the custom clearance form. It was task number one during the implementation of this service. Then the services connected with expanding business of exporters. It's search for potential buyers, search for potential partners abroad. Then we have connection to other services of commerce platforms, and Alexei will speak about this block later. It's about the works that are integrated into one window. And all this is to create a system of services around the exporter. And for the developed exporters, for active exporters with a big volume of export, financial services will be rendered, banking, insurance, and so on. Next slide, please. Alexei Viktorovich, we are practically run out of time, but the topic is so interesting, so useful, and I would ask you to do the following. Make a resume of 3 key benefits for exporters when they use one window system, and how exporter can address to this system. It's very sad that I have run out of time, because I said maybe only 1/5 of what I would like to say, but first, the first task of the system is to implement services with non-paper format, with minimum human factor, so that all the processes would be transparent, understandable, and manageable. It's the first task. Second task is organize the interaction between institutions so that the exporter has no necessity to visit them separately. So this platform, right now we have 40 types of information that we exchange with 17 institutions. The third very important moment is that we are trying to make super services when not only one service starts, but a set of services. For example, when exporter is planning to get state support in its logistics to abroad, it is necessary to get 17 types of information from 11 institutions to pre-fill this application. Right now it can be done electronically without the participation of the exporter. It's very easy to get into one window. You can go through the Redson webpage on the central page. There is a link to get to this system. There are two zones. The first zone is an unauthorized zone, where any person can get into, look through the catalog of services, get the news feeds, get answers to frequently asked questions. And the second story is a safe protocol, online account you can get only through authorization or through the electronic signature. There you have all the services available, all the communicational facilities available, so please come and ask questions. Colleagues, Alexey Viktorovich, thank you very much. I think it's a key trend changes of some positions in rendering services and supporting our entrepreneurs. Sometimes, you get very exhausted when you have to fill in a lot of papers and visit different institutions. So this step will allow, I believe, amount of support and the number of exporters that would become drivers of national projects. Thank you very much. Thank you. We learned about these key changes that has happened within the frame of state support of exporters. And the next participant of our roundtable will be Yarovoy Alexander. It's the head of economic department of trade representative of Russian Federation in the UK and Northern Ireland. And he will say about all the nuances of emerging into the market of Great Britain, about advantages and disadvantages, about obstacles, either to break our myths or prove our myths that this market should be emerged right now. So please, welcome. Thank you very much, Olga. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to greet you all from London. Do you hear me? Do you see me okay? Yes. Okay. I represent trade representative, so a structure within Ministry of Trade of Russian Federation. We render help in trading with UK. If we speak about support of Russian business, we can check the company to export to the Great Britain. We help do the necessary analysis, design plans, and build commercial partnership here in the UK. And following our topic today, I would like to say in more details, what does it mean, welcome to export to the UK. On next slide, briefly, I would like to say what does trade with UK look like. So after 2014, the turnover, of course, declined and became very low. So right now the turnover is growing 6 years in a row, rapidly, evenly in all product groups, including non-energetic, non-raw material groups. In 2020, the demand for metal grew up. Other groups within 2020 were stagnating or were going down. But when it is obvious in today's situation.
насколько быстрым будет восстановление,
And how fast will be the recovery in these groups
покажет первое полугодие.
will show the next half a year of the next year. But the restoration will be, we have no doubt about it. The next slide, I would like to pay attention to some aspects that usually hidden. So first is the strategy. Everyone is speaking about strategy on entering foreign market from different points of view. I will give examples concerning the UK. Of course, strategy defines the format of entering to the UK. Of course, we understand about direct and indirect export. Of course, we can speak about franchise and strategic partnership. But today we should note that Russian business use all possible formats of entering UK. For example, one of known Russian cosmetic producer works not only through the distributor, but created their brand shop. It was much more profitable. Or another Russian producer decided to export not directly, but bought production in Scotland, production facilities in Scotland, and right now they launched production here in the UK. What concerns the second thesis about structural changes, of course, the strategy leads to changes, sometimes on legislation level, sometimes the business necessity. In the UK, for example, a huge Russian logistic company had their own representative in the UK to develop relationship with British e-commerce. And the third moment is investments. Of course, any beginning of export activity is a risk, but in many cases for exporters, they can't take this risk without due investments and preparation for entering the market. So we have to define where the investment should go.
Алло, вы позволите, я прерву вас вопросом?
Excuse me, can I ask you a question? You said about investment.
Существует мнение о том,
There is an opinion that the UK
с продуктом чай, потому что существует традиция 5 o'clock tea. Это значит, что чай безумно востребован.
There is a notion that in order to enter British market, you should go with tea because of tea drinking traditions. And they say that we want to get into the Great Britain with tea, and that we know that our product will be demanded and will be successful. What would you say? Is it worth going into the UK market with tea? It's a good question. You are right. We get this kind of requests from time to time from Russian exporters. Each case must be studied individually. Some of them have potential, but the British market is there's so many supply in the British market. If we speak about tea, it's very hard to get to the shelves in the shops. You have to study and you have to know the customers to correspond and meet the requirements of packaging. And this knowledge defines the investment. That's what I'm saying. And for some exporters, it is more sound to start working on the British market, not with the attempt to speak with the networks or distributors, but to speak to potential partners on localization of the packaging, for example, to create more adapted offer for the British market, and from these positions to start communication. Or it can be, after analysis, it can be readjustment, retune of production in Russia, but in any way, each case must be studied individually. If we speak about requests, yes, we have a lot of them from SME, and on the slide I showed what we have to do if there is no strategy. When you start communicating with a company, what to do. Yes, of course, for a young exporter, sometimes it's very hard to formulate the strategy and they have to go blind. But you have to understand
картинку.
You have to imagine a picture according to analysis about your possibilities in the context of a certain country. And of course, our representative helps with this as well. Alexander Ilyich, can you tell me the services your trade representative renders, are they for money? Is it hard to get them? Or yes, the system of trade representatives is more than 100 years, but the question is still relevant. This question is asked. We answer this question. We work within the structure of Ministry of Industrial Trade of Russian Federation, and we give services for free. I'm very happy to hear that. So many exporters, when they heard that, they will understand that this is available. We have 1 minute and a half, and we need to get to the resume. Okay, can we switch to the next slide, please? And another one. Yes, thank you. At the end, I would like to say a few words about the specifics of the UK. I guess it would be useful for the exporters, for institutions of development. It's a highly competitive market in the UK. It is designed for experienced exporters. The competition, the barriers are very high, but still there are opportunities. Cases are implemented annually. There are possibilities, and need to work on that. I must say that trade is not so politically related as it can seem. Business adapts very fast to all the political maneuvers and keeps on going. At least we don't know the cases when investors refused their intentions on investments and so on. What I would like to highlight from the 1st January 2021, Britain imposes new UK global tariffs. According to them, the fee on the tax fee would be lower than in the EU. For the certain range of products, it will be the same. On certain range of products, it will be lower than in EU. It's a very important aspect. From the 1st January 2021, trading with EU in terms of tariffs and fees will not be changed, or at least changed drastically. But with the Great Britain, it will change. And according to certain groups of goods, if we speak about requests, right now we're working different requests with concerning analysis of probable changes in industries due to this tariff network. So we'll have to keep it in mind when we're planning work. And of course, I would like to say that for many industries, the markets in the UK needs a serious preliminary analysis and investments into marketing. And if we can have another slide, please, the last one. On this slide, we have trends of British markets. It's if you correspond that, if you meet that requirements, you have more chances for success. It's better to start communicating with British people. If you organic, green, innovative, healthy, it's a certain number or a certain set of topics for each industry. So that's, I would like to finish my speech. So if you have questions. Thank you very much. We understand that the British market is really a complicated one. The competition is really high, and you have to possess certain qualities of features of the product more than the EU market, because UK can afford itself to choose only quality products. And I have a last question. How can we address to you if the exporter would like to get help, services on analysis of the market, for example, on strategy on entering the market? Please tell us, how can we get this help from you? It's very easy to do on the domain Minpромtorg.
можно найти
You
сайт
can
частности
find
нашего
webpage of our representative.
крупно горит
You will find it.
кнопка «Подать заявку».
There's a big button
Очень просто, буквально
you have to click.
делается, да, заполняйте анкету,
Give application.
формулируйте
You fill in the form, form your question,
рады помочь.
and we will be happy to help you. Thank you.
Огромное вам спасибо.
Thank
Я
you very
думаю,
much.
что после вашего выступления однозначно появится много.
I think you will have a lot of exporters that will take decision to ask for your help after your speech for analysis of market and to understand whether they are ready to enter the market or not. Thank you very much. The next speaker of our table today is Vice President
Страхового акционерного
of Insurance Joint Stock Company VSK.
высокого уровня.
It's a high-class specialist who knows everything about transportation risks of exporters, and he will say a few words about insurance of transport logistics, and he will say that it's not an additional but a very important element in organizing exporting business, and it can become a saving parachute that would help the business on the run, because the batches are big for big enterprises and small batches for small enterprises can become very risky if you don't use the services of insurance. Oleg Viktorovich, good afternoon. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Do you hear me well? I'm happy to greet you. Thank you for this presentation. And if we speak about export of goods, food, cargoes, we have to remember that this export is connected with transportational risks, and in real cases, depending on requirements of the contract, on delivery of goods, are bared by the exporter. I'm in the company that dealing with insurance for 27 years and gives not only insurance policies but knows how to regulate the loss. Colleagues, what I would like to say that with the help of development in the Republic of Bashkortostan, we have a project in Bashkortostan, and on the 8th, I don't see the presentation very well, unfortunately. It's in the bottom, in the corner of the screen. I don't see anything. So, State Committee of the Republic of Bashkortostan on external foreign economic relation and VSK signed an agreement on organization of insurance that presumes a number of benefits for the exporters and a very simple model of interaction. I would like to tell you about major risk groups that have during transportation and what can be covered with the help of expertise. Yes, this slide. During transportation, there can be cases with road accidents, fall of aircrafts, different kind of road accidents. The second big group is different violation of law, such as robbery, theft, and so on. So the statistics says that in European countries, especially in southern, like Italy, we have a boost of robberies, and in Russia we have more of fraud cases. And I would like to highlight and remind you that when you insure the cargo, you can also get the reward for costs on transportation. For example, the cargo costs 100 rubles, its transportation costs 50 rubles. if the cargo didn't meet the final destination, all the losses will be covered, and these 50 rubles will be also compensated if they were included into the policy. About the problems, not the problems itself, let's say troubles that we have of when small exporters address to us if they seek for the coverage. First, I would like to note is that the price of insurance or not willingness of the insurance to take responsibility for these cargoes. The second thing is the time of agreement. SME exporter, when he addressed for the first time, he faces that the problem that his request can be agreed to for 2 weeks, or they can be asked for additional papers. Let's see another paper. Let's see another paper. He can face with a lack of and understanding this and implementing the agreement with the state committee, we took a decision of giving the pre-agreed offer that includes, according to our analysis, that includes a number of solutions that will satisfy the biggest majority of exporters. Such solutions are agreement on geography of deliveries. So we say KPN as coverage the whole world, except countries where they have military actions or hotspot countries. We say that we agree all the transport means, and you don't need to come separately if you want. If you use vehicles today and tomorrow you want to have another means of transport, we say that all kinds of transport, air, sea, road, will be covered, including storage, and we made a wide coverage for risks. We use classic coverage, and there we added such extension as storage, military actions, refrigerator risks. Not being a professional player on the market of the insurance, he can define a wide spectrum of coverage. Can I ask you a question? You mentioned that there are a lot of risks that are covered within the framework of the packs that you implemented or planning to implement in working with exporters. One of the risks is called refrigerator risk. What kind of risk is that, and how relevant it is right now in wintertime? It's a risk. Inclusion of risk in the policy and agreement can help to cover the losses if the refrigerator breaks down and the storage of the good with violation of temperature regime are not met or are failed. So, for example, when we speak about fruit and vegetables or pharmaceutical cargoes or frozen food, poultry, fish, meat. So you can imagine during transportation of fresh vegetables, what would happen to them in wintertime if the refrigerator breaks down, and in 1 hour they will become into absolutely non-usable mass
во фруктово-овощную карамель
into a fruit vegetable caramel,
убытками,
but with losses,
без покрытия.
without coverage.
При открытии кузова автомобиля вытекает буквально на асфальт. Зимой, конечно,
Yes, in winter,
снежный.
it's becoming a snowflake in winter. Yes.
И еще один вопрос.
And another question.
Не могли бы вы
Can you
поделиться примером,
share the
может,
example
какие-то последние,
of
которые
probably the last ones that you had that saved entrepreneurs
поступили,
that
поступили таким образом, что застраховали
that insured the cargo
экспортное
and export trip
скажем так, успешно, если бы они
became successful? It couldn't be so if they hadn't done that. In our case, if we speak about losses, such trip cannot be non-profitable because we cover financial losses from if we speak about winter. A client sent me video at 4 a.m. He sent me video of two burning vehicles, 2 lorries. In one lorry they had their cargo, and another was washing machines. So the compensation was more than 6 million rubles. And if we speak about interesting examples, and the second group is there was a fraud. The car with the sour cream went, which was very difficult to sell because the shelf life is only 1 week of this product, but the car went away. And usually they have frauds with butter because it's very easy to repack it and sell it, and to sell it. So this, what can I would add that we do checks with the reliability of logistic companies. So usually it's a small company, when they have no security service within the company structure, so they don't know who they're giving cargo to, and we, free of charge, because it's in our interest, we check the logistic company whether it's possible to help him or not, because this event is usually with a high loss, and these events are needed not only for us, for insurance companies, but also for our partners, because any kind of coverage, it's nerves and money and time.
Огромное вам спасибо, Олег Викторович.
Thank you a lot. Oleg, please tell us, how could we address you as an exporter if we would like to have some understanding in our risks and how to insure the business from the point of view of logistics issues? Where should we go? Thank you for opening the last slide. Here we have our contacts. We are interacting with the Center of Export Support of the Republic of Bashkortostan. You could also address our partners and me too, and Yelena Bartnovskaya. We will, of course, provide aid and all the help and assistance you need. Thank you very much. We have learned that not everything could be solved by the strategy. That's why we should also pay attention to the details of business organization, how to enter the international markets, which features should and what should be implemented with the products, the same with the insurance of the load. And I know that it could become one of the essential stages, just because we should cover the expenses, for example. Of course, I don't want anybody to face these problems, but still we should implement it. The next speaker would touch upon the global topic. It's digitalization. Of course, it's a global trend right now. We have digitalization all around us, from the social sphere up to space.
Сегодня
And today, of course, this topic
и вопросы, связанные с
also touches upon the questions of expert market entering. Our next participant is
директор по развитию электронной торговли
Alexei Murzinyuk, the Director on Development of Electronic Commerce of the Russian Expert Center. He would provide you the information on the
Пожалуйста.
opportunities to enter and the future of the export market. Thank you a lot. Of course, I'll stop at the e-commerce as I'm responsible for it. Of course, the e-commerce is a trend, and it confirms not only that fact that in our direction we have more companies who address us. You could see that for the whole 2019, there were less companies than right now. Right now we have 1,600, and I do believe that the number would double just because this sphere is growing. And also in the framework of our forum, which was held on Wednesday this week, it was also noted that e-commerce is one of the basic channels which should be used. But unfortunately, we face 4 problems in our triple-sided work. The problems are: the first thing is that people do not know which market they should enter, and they cannot understand what should they do in order to make demand for their products. We also hold different seminars and webinars. We attract our partners, and I think market placement could be different. For example, to enter Alibaba.com, you should pay a lot in order to enter the market. As for eBay, you should pay nothing to enter this market. But as for GD and Timo, you should have at least $50,000 per year. So sometimes the lack of knowledge could really prevent from entering the market. The second problem is that people do not want to invest their money into the promotion. They believe that to place a product, it's enough. But as for this, we will touch upon it a bit later. The third thing is infrastructure. It is about the service partners which could promote companies on the export markets, and also some internal issues in the case of logistics, and the fact that we should, together with the main players, create the logistic chains which are available and affordable for most of the representatives of our markets. And right now, not everyone could understand how to do it. The fourth problem is rhetorics. We have partially solved this problem. Right now, you could have an automatic confirmation with the help of Почта Россия, our post service. I could say that this problem on the territory of the country is already solved, but as for experts, we still do not know the ways to cover it. And also one of the problems which is now quite a burning question is import issue. As for the recommendation, our fashion industry could also enter the market in some of the cases implemented. As the financing support, we have Ministry of the Economic Development, and they also have a document which provides and promotes the help in order to enter the export market. And we do believe that they provide enough funding for it. So the service is quite popular right now. I know that for 3 quarters of the year 2020, 910 companies have already reached support. I would also stop shortly on the support, and here you could see that we had a stream with a Chinese blogger, Sue Lee. She had more than 30 million followers in her social media. She has never tried the product which we had. I could say that she had a colleague who also tested it, but but this person presented the product which we had, and I could say it's one of the luckiest cases of the promotion of our products on the Chinese market. That's why we invest money into this variants, into this way. But also, I would like to mention that as for this story, it was presented to the Mr. Mishustin, and he said that it was incredible, that they should also invite Russian bloggers. But we also tried it. For example, we wrote to Ivleva, but she's not in that trend still. The last thing is it's our TV channel. It also provides the information about the trade for export. You could also follow us, and we try to make it fresh and interesting. We are following the news around the world. Also, we place our seminars so everyone could participate. Thank you a lot, Alexei. If I am a freshman and expert, and I do not know anything about it, is there any kind of service which would help me as a new exporter? How could I understand that I could reach the market? Where should I address? Whom should I address? The first thing is the regional center of export support. The company could also address them just because it could be placed in the same region. For example, it could be the Republic of Bashkortostan. They're quite actively providing aid. Then they are coming to the scoring of our company. We also provide a conclusion and also recommend the partners and markets to enter. Thank you a lot for a very interesting and very fast presentation. So we have already talked about the classic market. We talked about the numbers and also about the digitalization, that it becomes a trend. And we understand that in 10 minutes, it is possible to sell quite a big amount of products. The reason is to know which marketplace to enter. And we could also gain support of the Russian export centers. Our next speaker would present us. Excuse me, I cannot see anything without my glasses. Yeah. One of the amusing participants, they would talk about a separate field of export. It's state orders. We get used to the fact that as for exports, we mostly take into consideration just commercial companies, but sometimes to make deals on state purchase, it could become a new direction for the export of your business. So now our round circle would be joined by the Maxim Yeliseev, the coordinator of project, the development of partner ties of Russia with UNIDO. Good evening, dear participants of the round table. Today I would present to you the information about the UN opportunities. You could also address REDS, with whom we have quite strong ties, and also the Export Center of the Republic. Now we could also see the presentation, and I would also share the information about UN purchases. I could say it's quite close to the state purchases. The UN tender is something like as a state deals, but there are some peculiarities because the system of UN is not only just the Defense Council, which is dedicated to the support of peace, and there are a lot of other organizations, like the Organization of Healthcare. We have also UNESCO, which is widely known, UNICEF. Yeah, WHO and others. I'm the representative of the project UNIDO. It's a special agency of UN on industrial development. I could say it in the whole system. We have just a slide mentioning of it. The next slide presents all what is in demand for UN with a link to its just general categories of goods and services, which are also bought with a range of organizations. The first three items, the first three categories are mostly involved into humanitarian aid and humanitarian projects. For example, the working on the humanitarian lines, which is coordinated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So if you are interested to work in this direction, I could say the tender is not enough. That's why you should also address the ministry. But still, it has the great potential not only for the Republic of Bashkortostan, but also all Russian manufacturers. We talk about the fourth and further categories. I could say milliards of dollars. For example, construction, engineering, consulting, new technologies, IT, logistics, some healthcare products. And I could say it's one of the great potential which is not covered fully because a lot of manufacturers just do not know about it. That's why we also try to inform them about these opportunities. So the next slide, please. And once again, yeah, we have a unified portal of purchases, UNIGM. It is known as GRON in Russia. It's a unified portal which was created several years ago. And the goal of it is to place all the tenders of UN on the one place, on the one portal where all the manufacturers could find the tender they'd like, and to make the collaboration with some special institutions. So as for numbers, there were tenders which covered at least 20 billion of dollars. For example, in the sphere of logistics, also food products on humanitarian needs, and also there is a range of organizations. Unfortunately, the amount of them is not quite big, but if we talk about the number of tenders, so the previous year there were at least 13,000 tenders. In 2020, at about 11 or 12,000 tenders were implemented. 99% of purchases are going through this portal. Sometimes not only big enterprises are involved into it, but mostly it's small and medium-sized enterprises. Each day, we have at least 700, 800 tenders, and right now we have at about 1,000 tenders there. The next slide presents how you could see the website in your browser. That's the main point for the suppliers who would like to enter this system of sales and purchases. Just enter the website. There are tenders presented in English, French, and Spanish, so you could just log in and do the search quite easily because the Russian is also Russian language is also available. The next slide. We have the opportunities for the business collaboration. If you just click this point, you could find the tender which you could be interested in. To see the categories, codes which could be applied to it. The next slide. If you click this point, you'll see this page where you could see different filters, and also you will have a general rating with the active trends. You could also apply codes, countries. There are a lot of opportunities for this portal. And you could also choose dates and history of different tenders. So this presentation, let's go further, just because this presentation is not that necessary to present how to choose it. This is also the you have also an opportunity to click the link at the end of the presentation. There is a detailed information on searching of tenders and how to log in on this portal, and other features how to make your life easier. Let's go further to the things which we got used to in Russia. I'm sorry, we have only 30 seconds to finish, so please touch upon the key notions. Yes, we're talking about them right now. The first thing is that it's a charge-free portal. If you would like to send an application, there is no need to pay for something. There is no the annual price, what is quite unusual for us, and also the fact that is not quite useful in Russia. The next slide, about the project and development. Let's go further. So this project, which is aimed at involvement of people into the state purchases. There are a lot of different materials, informational materials on, for example, the medical purchases and medical buyings. We also had a specialized educated people. So the next slide. Here is the full webinar, which is based on which presents the way how you could work with the system. Here are my contacts. You could watch the webinar. It would be better for you to start with it. And if there would be any questions, I am also open for interaction. I have a YouTube channel, also Facebook account, and I provide the information in YouTube on different tenders which could be undertaken. Thank you very much, Mr. Yeliseev. I think that you have opened the new door for everyone who were even afraid to knock on. And now we see it is quite a real thing to enter the export market. We should just choose the right direction, understand the rules of tenders, but first of all, to find out how to cope with it and whom to address in order to open a new way for the business the entrepreneurs have. Thank you very much. Now, that part of our roundtable dedicated to the state companies and state services and organization of expert support comes to an end, and the next part would be dedicated to the examples of the successful entering of the companies to the export market. Now we will virtually come to China. Now we'll have an opportunity to talk to Denis Danьho, the head of the division MAGFA, and he would share the opportunities to enter the Chinese market and also how to cope with entering and struggle against the casualties that you could have. Good evening, dear participants. I have a lot of issues to talk about, but I have only 5 minutes. My name is Denis Danьho. I represent the company MAGFA in China and southeastern companies. I'm mostly working with the food products and, of course, with the company MAGFA. First of all, I'd like to mention that China could be divided till Shanghai as north, and lower than Shanghai, it's just south. China is different, it's versatile, it's interesting, rich and poor at the same time. Next slide, please. The defining feature of the northern China is borders with Russia. That's why most of the purchases are going through the borders. I could say that most of the clients are not quite specialized in the sphere of export market. That's one of the main features and defining features of north from south. The thing is that we have the maximum of goods for the lower price and then store it and wait for the clients. I have lived for the last 13 years in South, and then I came to North in order to find out and learn more about the channels. But that's real situation. The paradox is that the abundance of goods from Russia are in the north. And I could say still that in the biggest stores, you could see only some single products, and most of the goods are sold in small shops with quite high price. And there is also a problem that if there are some kind of the distributor which appears there in the north and also try to fit all the official notions, they would still try to dumping. And sometimes it also happens that they have the difficulty into and also impossible yet to reach this market. That's why. The next slide. And other way, we could say that in the south, they're mostly competent sellers, and I also enjoy to work with the sellers from the south, but mostly they have a shipment per sea, and it's difficult to meet all the requirements of the legislation. The business is mostly build up these wages because they have their goods not stored somewhere, even if they send it to the stores of the chain. What's the main difference between the business of South and North? As for South, they know how to cooperate. As for North, they are just sitting, storing, and still waiting for reaching that to fulfill their attempts. But as for South, they mostly consolidate their forces and make the collaborations and do everything in short terms. what do we usually, what should we talk about today? So there should be some special strategies which are quite different from these for these two parts of China, because they have two different mentalities, they have different minds, different speed of business, and the frequency of business process.
Since the representative of MACFA is taking floor here, so I will speak about our cases. When we entered the Chinese market in 2015, we started working with one northern distributor and gave him exclusive rights for a very long term. But during the development, we found new distributors that were ready to take product for a better, interesting price, but exclusive we gave. So what shall we do? 1.5 years we solved this question, and so we created a new modified product. So we not violating the agreement that we signed, and we developing the clientele base, because with the old one, it's not very interesting to work with, but we're still working. But in the southern case, in the south, food basket, they have more rice, they don't use pastry. So they are the positions that we wanted to launch in the south in the same volume as in the north. So I believe we have success in the north among Russian suppliers. We reconsidered the whole case, as we think with our record sales of packed flour to China, we cover 97% of all territory in Russia, for example. Our products can be found everywhere in Russia. But in China, it's 0.83. This is the number of our coverage in China. But among Russian exporters, we are considered to be very big and very successful enterprise. So, colleagues, please take into consideration the regional hallmarks and peculiarities when you enter the Chinese market, and don't expect for the fast result to appear. Next slide, please. Thank you. I would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much for telling us about two different Chinese parts, that it's two different parts of China with two different strategies of entering their markets. Nevertheless, I would like to ask you the following question. China is famous for that when you cross the border, or you just in the distance you show your products, that in 1 minute it is copied in Chinese enterprises. How to protect yourself? Is it enough to just register trademark, or you need to take some other steps to have a possibility of at least to have priority for protection? Thank you for the question. It's very interesting. Today we had our colleagues from Russian exporting centers. Virtual hello to all of you. There are several ways. Way number one is to address to the company RAC. They will help you professionally. There is another way, a new organization, RTK. They had a small birthday recently. They help to protect, but if you have your own way of development, so it's better to register the trademark in China by yourself or with the help of the organizations above mentioned. Why to do that? Because when your good cross the border, so that you wouldn't get this unexpected news that your cargo will be liquidated, or you don't need to buy your own product and brand for $20,000 or $30,000, because it doesn't work here in China. Not to get upset, you need to spend a bit of time and money, because in our case, yes, Chinese didn't steal from MACFA, they just adopted the logo. We had a lawsuit for more than 3 years. 3.7, I guess. Lawsuit. We got our all our rights for Mark. We got them back. So you have to think about it beforehand, either by yourself or through the competent organizations that will help in Russia. Okay, thank you very much for consultation, for very interesting speech. I believe on the one hand you inspired potential exporters to China. On the other hand, you gave precautions or concerns to make unthoughtful moves towards China without taking care of the trademark. Thank you very much. Have a good night, because we have a huge time difference. Thank you for participation in our round table. Thank you. And we've been to China, and I suggest we come back to the place where we are here today, the Congress Hall, and today the guest of our round table is representative of the oldest enterprise, Kozlov Alexander, he head of export department of Bashspirt, who knows all the nuances of entering into global markets. He will share with us the factors of success and will help the exporters who just start their way to define what is important in order to win on a very competitive market. So please take the floor. Thank you for a very evaluated honor. So I will say a few words about Bashspirt. Bashspirt is a good, big enterprise. We have 4 wineries, and we have a plant that produces alcohol. It's a modern production facility. We use state-of-the-art technologies. We are the only one in Russia who preserved technologies that were used in the USSR. Production of spirits. We produce spirits only from quality grains. So you can understand that you can do spirits from different components, but we do it only from rye. The spirits from rye, they have a good aftertaste and very smooth. And when you grow wheat, they use a lot of pesticides and so on, and then different fertilizers, chemicals, but you don't use it for rye. So that's why rye is absolutely clean. Of course, today we are very successful, and many foreign producers of alcohol highly evaluated our quality. But spirit is not the only product that we sell. Thank you. We use only now technologies to produce alcoholic drinks. It's very hard to sell alcoholic drinks abroad. First of all, the commercial of alcohol is prohibited practically everywhere. Secondly, each country has its own traditions, historical traditions, and production of their own local alcoholic. So it's taxes again, and nobody wants to let other producers into their own country. And another difficult approach is the tastes, which varies from country to country. So to conquer sympathy of Chinese producers, we created vodka based on cabbage juice, but they liked it. Right now we are moving to other drinks, and we made a very interesting agreement with China. We export balm. For balm production, we use natural ingredients. It's herbs, natural berries, and some berries we bring from very distant locations, from Karelia, for example, just to get good products. Our main principles is clean, clear, and natural.
Совсем недавно мы запустили новую линейку продуктов.
Recently, we launched a new
Северное Амур. Иностранцев непонятно откуда.
products line.
Башкирия и Север.
We have northern Amurs, and many foreigners they don't understand. But during 1812 war, Bashkir cavalry entered Paris. They were the first to enter Paris, and local people were very surprised of these warriors, and they called them Northern Amurs. So, in order to respect their memory, we created such vodka, and also we create vodkas on honey, which is called wild honey. Recently, we got Grand Prix on international exhibition with wheat vodka. I can name a lot of drinks that are very popular. We produce vodka even for America. I can tell you a very interesting fact that in every bottle shipped to America is painted individually by a painter. Of course, we use it Russian motifs, Russian ornaments.
Насколько я знаю,
As
американский
far as I know, American market is very competitive,
и попасть туда достаточно
and it's very hard
стоит.
to get there.
Скажите, пожалуйста, что вы считаете важным?
What do you think is important as a competitive advantage, feature of success to get to the market? Yes, I get the question. The advantage of our success is a very high culture of production, state-of-the-art equipment, professional team of designers, technologists, of course, people who work in export department. We invited leading specialists in terms of logistics and custom law. Over the last decade, only Bashspirit could sell spirits abroad. We were the only one. We found the right solution of this question. Why there were so many questions on alcohol during pandemics, even from Arabic world? We sold them spirits to produce antiseptics. I guess Bashspirit has a very good future. I'm pretty sure about it. Looking at the
Популярность ее среди китайцев.
colors you painted your products, how it is popular among Chinese or American customers who really value, appreciate Russian vodka, but it's a very competitive market, and the fact that you have your niche in it, it is really worth mentioning. Thank you for very vivid examples, for saying a few words about the company. But what would you suggest to your colleagues, exporters, or people who just start exporting business? What steps should they take before going for export? I advise you to think twice, because competitiveness is very high, and in order to be successful, your product must be higher in quality than the competitors. We managed to do that. Then look for different approaches. People recommend to visit exhibitions, but visiting exhibitions, well, didn't cause a lot of interest, for example. To get targeted or address sending, we tried it to China, to Vietnam. It's very hard. A very low percentage of sales, but we moved another way. We start working through the friends, acquaintances, and start saying about our products. It's the culture of drinking. If you drink responsibly, it's okay. But if you use it too much, if you abuse it, it can be very harmful. So we advise, wish you good luck, develop new brands, new tastes, and let export business be growing. So we wish you luck in it and success in it. In this, thank you very much. And to finish up our today's cycle of presentations about how to get to the export, how to create export, how to make it welcome.
Руководитель обособленного подразделения РЭЦ в Уфе,
representative of REDS in Ufa,
о том, какие более актуальны,
and he will say what is demanded by exporters, what services are demanded. Thank you very much. I would try to finish up or pack everything together, all that we heard today.
Ну, как я понимаю, что есть там.
As far as I understand, there are different ways of entering the market, foreign market, export market. Everyone has their own features, but we have Institute of Support of Export on federal and regional level, and the main task is we have two blocks. First block is to find these foreign counteragents, to make them close together so that they start working together, start negotiating about something. And this block of non-financial support and center of export support of Russia is very high, is very big. They have exhibitions, search for clients. They also support the negotiation process, sending presentations. So it's a huge block that allows to get people closer, foreign counteragent and Russian suppliers. It's e-commerce, all this gives contracts and possibility to export. The second huge block is, Alexei said that what is done right now, it's a unified system that allows not to collect a lot of papers, allows to avoid paperwork, all the red tape things. And there's currency legislation, there's custom legislation, there's huge tax legislation that exporter, before entering the export, must evaluate. He must also evaluate the risks of the legislation, of different codes. I don't want to frighten you, but it's very, very serious. And again, we have a huge set of risks that you have to evaluate and manage. And maybe you have one window here that would help not to run around and will allow exporters to activate their desire. And the third huge block that is aimed to make an offer, competitive offer. One of the speakers said, your product must be of much better quality than the foreign made. But if we speak about absolutely equal product, equal price, equal quality, they're unique, for example. Here, the advantage goes to the person who gives the better financial offer to the foreign counter-agent. So it's protection from risks, it's financing of the deal. The good thing is that we give the insurance that cover the risks. And today we live in a world that the latest half a year showed that we had 4 unexpected sharp points. That's it. Belarus, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzia, and only Reds SAR can give insurance from political and entrepreneur risks. And a huge block connected with financial support, with financing. We understand that export, it's huge agreements, huge deals, that they need additional turnover money to fill the gaps. And here we have Reds that allows to pack this deal correctly. And why do we understand the exporters separately so that they can? So they ask, what about accreditive? We have institutions that help and consult and tell how to pack the deal, so it would be interesting both for Russian seller and the foreign counter-agent, so everyone would be satisfied, the deal would be done, the product will go, and the Russian exporter would get money. So I try to be emotional, but and I understand that we're pressed for time. That's it. Thank you very much. It's a short but very informative report that supplemented all the speakers today on
presenting the way of development of the strategy, how to protect themselves from the point of view of the trademark, and your decision
как представитель
and your
о том, что
variant of
при равноценности
implementation, even if we have the equal
решить вопрос
offer, you could solve the issues with finances, the package of deal, and also choose that services which would support your deal as a freshman in entrepreneurship or just an experienced entrepreneur. Thank you very much. I hope that today's roundtable was quite interesting and different speakers provided us the information on different directions of expert. So welcome to expert. Thank you very much.